Brother Brett.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's going on, guys? This is Brett with Display Fitness. Catching our breaths. We did something a little bit different today. Did a dynamic warm-up. In fact, that'll be an entirely different video. I'll demonstrate what we did so you guys can see that at another video. But just trying to get a little bit more active warm-up. And part of that active warm-up, and the reason why I'm doing it, is exactly because of that injury, right? So I've had some people asking me like how the injury is and how I'm doing and whatever else. And I've talked about how injuries are kind of a necessity. They're bound to happen. But then also injuries are an opportunity. So if you look at an injury strictly negatively, it's just a bad disposition. It really is a bad position to be in, looking at an injury or life like that, right? Because injuries are going to happen, setbacks are going to happen, and if you look at it negatively as though it's just like woe is me, you're already coming from that victim kind of a standpoint. And when you're a victim, you don't have any power, right? You're just the victim. But if you look at it as an opportunity for learning and to make adjustment and to pivot a bit, you kind of take some of that power back. So you're still dealing with the injury, right? The injury is the injury. There's not much you can do about that. However, it doesn't mean that there isn't things you can. There's not something you can do, right? Like there are things you can do, is what I'm saying. And so, case in point, me changing up my warm up a little bit is a direct result of me kind of thinking through the process of my injury and what I might be able to do to make it better. Now, I have no way of knowing at this point in time whether the steps I'm taking are going to help me avoid future injury, or if they're going to help me rehabilitate successfully this specific injury. But I'm trying things, right? And so that's the thing that I'm advocating for you guys, to think outside the box, try things, change things up, be willing to pivot. Don't just look at a setback as a setback and then woe is me and Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Look at it as an opportunity to make some adjustments, reassess the things that you've been doing, and then try to grow from that. So that's kind of what we're doing today. In that, we're going to get into do some training here today. We got squat. It is June 15th, so it's a Monday. Today would be a great day in the program, right? Or is a great day in the program, in that it's a step down from the volume. So instead of doing 10s, now marks the time where we start doing like 8s. So the volume starts to dip down, and even though 8 reps versus 10 reps may not seem like a whole lot, it's palpable, right? Like you can feel the difference when you're going through and doing it, and those 2 less reps per set are a welcome reprieve. So Mike's with me. Mike's gonna be jamming. He's gonna bump up the weight a little bit, be hitting 8s with me as well, and we're just gonna kind of see what we get into. I plan on working on my squats. I'm gonna throw some knee sleeves on. I'm gonna throw the voodoo floss on. I'm gonna throw probably a hip band on to try to, bring my glutes in a little bit more and provide a little bit more stability, so I can avoid that leg instability that I think caused the injury in the first place. So there's gonna be a lot of things going on with me today in terms of my setup, but it's gonna be some pretty straightforward squatting. Ideally, the program would call for about 475-ish for some 8s. I have no idea if I will tolerate that right now, so I'm just gonna kind of push the envelope a little bit and just see how it feels. I may end up doing some subsequent jumps for my working sets, and then just see how close I can get to what the target weight would be. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna skin that cat just yet, but if you guys will stick around and check out the video, you guys will see kind of how I go about it and what I'm doing. And some of this stuff is just gonna be deciding in the moment. So that's what it's gonna be. Yep. Ready to do this?
Do it.
All right. Hope you guys stick around. If you like the video, thumbs up. If you haven't, please subscribe. Here we go.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Alexa, pause. I'm rolling up my voodoo floss here. So I've got this band of rubber with that. So it's like the normal rubber bands, but it's not looped, not connected. And use this to wrap up my quad to get some compression. So some people will put it on for a kind of like a tourniquet-like effect. I'm not really doing that. I'm just kind of going for just a little bit of compression, just to kind of help out the leg just feel a little bit more stable. So a couple of wraps over the spot that bothered me. Don't want to get too tight. In fact, last set I went too tight. And a little bit of compression. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and get set. I'm going to use this around my knees. Give me a little bit of resistance to push out on. That's good too, because I can feel those glutes kick in a little bit more to push these knees out. As you can see, as I rotate out, squeeze those glutes, I'm expanding that band, and it's just providing me a little bit more stability with the leg, so that there's no movement. Because last time there was a little shift, and that unexpected shift caused that little bit of a muscle strain or whatever it was. So now I have this band on there, and I'm resisting the band as I squat, and it's providing me that little bit of extra emphasis, kinesthetic cue, to create my own stability. And that set felt really good. So that's good. All right. So, oh, you bring beer. I got mine.
Okay.
Post training nutrition. Getting those carbs.
Yeah. Hey.
There's a calorie repop. Okay, guys, that's it. That's the video. So today's session turned out pretty good. I'm really pleased with how things went for me personally. So you know, as I've kind of said, you know, ad nauseum at this point, you know, still trying to work with that injury. I was doing some tissue manipulation on the back side of the session there, and I, you know, using the percussion massage gun, found like the spot that I must be injured, right? Like very finite point of discomfort as I'm digging around in the tissue there. So certainly whatever was wrong is still sort of wrong, right? Like the thing isn't like healed yet. So I'm really grateful that I was able to be as successful with today's session as I was. And again, you know, to kind of talk about that, what I talked about on the front side of just finding a way to address things or to just think through the problem set to allow myself to be able to continue to train, right? So I got up to 390 for that last set. And so I started with 325, then 345, then 365, and then I hit my last set there was that 390. And so I was able to ascend in weight each set. Everything felt smooth and under control. I used the voodoo floss to give myself some compression, and then I also used a band that was kind of tight, and then I switched over to that blue one just to give me a little bit more tension. But I used a band wrapped around my legs to act as a kinesthetic cue for a little bit of glute tie-in, right? To try to use my glutes to help create a little bit more stability in my movement. And I'm really glad that I did that, right? I feel like that was a good step. I felt stable and under control throughout the movement. So no pain, discomfort, issues, very comfortable squatting for me. So I'm really relieved with how things went, especially, you know, once I go digging in that tissue, I can still feel that pinpoint spot that's injured. So that tells me that the injury is not totally behind me yet. I'm not out of the woods, as it were, and I got to continue to be smart. So that's going to be the same thing for many of you, right? Many of you are going to or already are experiencing some kind of an injury, and there's going to be a point where you're like, I'm okay, and then you kind of load yourself back up again, and maybe you get hurt. So just jumping right back into the deep end of the pool is never really the smart thing to do. There's no need or necessity to rush yourself back into injury. So don't treat the injury like it's the end of the world. Use it as an opportunity to think through the problem like I'm trying to do, right? So I'm just trying to think through my problem set and do the best I can with the limitations that I have right now. So hopefully what I was doing will be some measure of inspiration for you and how you can approach your training. Mike, on the other hand, oh, I'm sorry, were you about to jump in? Do you have something to say? So Mike, on the other hand, was doing really well. Was able to squat more weight than you've squatted so far while training with me, right? That's right. So, you know, Mike is continuing to push the envelope, and Mike is a guy who had, you know, previously sustained an injury that set him back quite a long way. Went from training at one point in time, feeling pretty good about things, got injured, and then essentially, you know, more or less walked away for quite a while, right? Where you weren't really training with any regularity and all that stuff. So
stopped altogether.
Stopped altogether. So like that is definitely one extreme, and I'm just encouraging you guys to not go to that extreme of just stopping altogether, because the reasons why you started lifting in the first place, they're still there. You know, your goal of being stronger, being healthier, being whatever, those are all still there and still very attainable, even in the face of injury or injuries. So just remember that, right? It's never too late to start getting stronger and improve yourself through a little bit of weight training, right? It doesn't mean you got to be a power lifter, but you know, you can do things. And you know, Mike here is making a lot of ground, and I'm really pleased with his progress. Been training for, you know, 5 or so weeks, give or take, and you know, already put, you know, 10 pounds of size on you. Yep. Strength is going good, everything's going good. So anyway, positive. So I guess I don't want to belabor the point or drag this on too terrible long. I just want to kind of emphasize the main point, which is don't give up, guys. You got to get in, you got to train despite, right? When talk about it all the time, but this is what that means is, you know, getting in and continuing to train and do the best you can, even in the face of adversity, right? So that's it, guys. Any questions, comments, or concerns, drop in the chat box below. I'll be sure to respond. I appreciate you guys continuing to support me and the channel with all the likes, the shares, the subs. You guys have helped this channel grow from absolutely nothing into what it is today, and I'm just completely overwhelmed by what it was that we've created. So thank you very much for being a part of that. If you know anybody that might like the channel that I don't know, I'd appreciate it. Maybe you show it to them or send them a link or whatever. Just, you know, point it out to them. Maybe they'll like it too. And if you've checked out a video or two and haven't joined yet, it'd be awful nice if you did. I'd love to have you stick around for a while. And yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, no matter what it is you think you can't do, like, recover after an injury, not give up, right? Not give up. You got to get in and train despite. You're either going to find an excuse or you're going to find a way. And I hope that you guys continue to find the way. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.